Hello everybody, this is Jake here. Today I'm going to be teaching you a little bit of my music teaching method, where I like to teach a bit about how to play multiple instruments, maybe some djembe, percussion to get into a meditative mind state, and simple understanding of music theory and ear training, and also singing and playing instruments like the piano or the guitar. So I'm going to start off with piano today. So I hope you enjoy. So I like to focus on teaching the piano first because it's pretty simple. If you want to play a lower note, you go this way. If you want to play a higher note, you go this way. As you can hear, it just gets gradually higher and higher, like a And so that's an easy way to understand it too. The other thing is noticing a pattern here on the piano. You notice that there's 2 black notes and then 3 black notes and then 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, all the way up and down the piano. There's a pattern. And an easy way to learn how to play, or at least the notes on the piano, is to kind of take a mental picture with your mind, this pattern and where the notes are. So the black notes are the sharps and flats, and then the white notes are natural notes. It's basically like you have a C here, and then it's D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And so that's pretty easy. There's no A sharp, C sharp, D flat, whatever. It's pretty easy to understand. It's just the alphabet. And a good way to remember where the notes are, I take a mental picture in my head, and I remember that the C is on the left side of the 2 black notes, right there. And so every time I see this pattern, it's like in my head, I can remember, oh, the C is right here. And then on the other side of the 2 black notes is the E, So it's almost like I see this pattern and I can almost see like an imaginary C or E on, these notes. And so that's helpful. And when you go to other parts of the piano, it's the same. It's just a higher version. So the left side of the 2 black notes here is a C. And then the left side of these 2 black notes is a higher C, And then I don't know if you could see over here, but there's another C, and there's a lower C over here. And then same thing with the E. And so once you can kind of learn it from, just this range, then, it's the same across the rest of the piano. And so a good thing to start off with is to remember where those notes are. On the left side of the 3 black notes, we have F, right? And then on this note right here, basically to the left side of this middle black note is a G. On the right side of this black middle note is an A. On the right side of the 3 black notes is a B. In between the 2 black notes is a D. So, you could start practicing that and maybe even saying out loud when you are playing the notes, and you could sing the sound of the note too. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C, B, A, G, F, B, D, C. Okay? Now the black notes in between, it actually has 2 names. They kind of call it enharmonic equivalents. And this is given 2 different names, mainly because when we talk in music theory and stuff, they felt like this was an easier way sometimes to try to talk about how chords are made. But if we take a C and then we go up to this next note, it's C sharp. And if we go D and we go backwards, D flat. So So even though this is the same note, it can be called either C sharp or D flat. So that's a good way. So if you have F right here, this note here, F sharp, or G, G flat. So it might seem a little confusing, but what I usually like to start on is playing just the white notes. If you play only well, first of all, playing from C to this next C, including the black notes, is the chromatic scale. You're basically playing all the notes you have available to you. C, I'll just play it. Right? So that's 12 notes there. And it's almost like if you had a box of crayons and you had 12 crayons to work with. But even though you have all 12 notes, it doesn't necessarily mean that all of these notes will sound good together. Okay? And if you only play the white notes, it's in the key of C major. It's basically taking the 12 notes that you have available to you, and you are basically trimming the fat and only playing the 7 best sounding notes of these 12. Best is an opinion, but you're playing 7 of your 12 total notes. And if you only play the 7, then everything will sound pretty good. If you only play the white notes on the piano, you're playing in the key of C. So you can play the scale up and down. It's the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, the major scale, C major scale. You can start on C, then go to D, E, and then when you get here, you can bring your thumb underneath and play the F, and then play the rest of your fingers up to C. And then you could go in reverse, playing all your fingers. And once you get to the thumb, cross your middle finger over. So that's a good way to practice and sing along with it too, to internalize the sound of the major scale. You could hum with it too. You could vocalize it with a sound like ba or ma. Ba, 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 or ma, 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 ma. So there's a lot of stuff that you can start off. If you only play the white notes, you're in the key of C, and it's kind of like you're safe here. And if you want to go to black notes, you can, but it's kind of like anytime you get lost, you could always come back to just playing down here. And that's a good place to start, because also you're kind of learning, you're culturing your mind to, recognize the sound of major chords, and minor chords. And then once you start moving to another key, so the key of C is only the white notes. There's no sharps or flats. When you move to the key of D, there are some sharps or flats. So I'll play the major scale here for C. Right? That sound, after playing it a while, it becomes familiar. You can hear it in your head. And if I want to try to do that on starting, so I started on C and played the do 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 do, I can then do that on another note. And because I remember the sound, if I get lost, I could kind of find it. So I'll start on D this time instead of C. So I'm on D here. So when I played it just the white notes starting on D, it wasn't in the key of D. If I play the major scale starting on D, I notice that I have to get an F sharp and I need to get a C sharp. that's what I'm just showing you. Playing in the key of C is an easy way, but once you internalize it, you could start on any note and kind of find the major scale because you're familiar with it now. So the other thing that I often like to show too is you could then play chords. So if you start playing every other white note, like we're on C, we go C, E, G. In the key of C, that's 1, 3, 5. Basically, I'm counting the distance. C is number 1, E is 3 away from C, and then G is 5 away from C. So every other white note. That's a C major chord. Then when I move to the next chord, starting on D, D, F, and A, that's D minor. When I move to the next chord, E, G, and B, that's E minor. When I move up here, every other white note, F, A, and C, that's F major. The next G, B, D is G major. Then next, go up to here, A, C, E is A minor. Then when I move up here to B, D, and F, that's a B diminished. And then we're at C major again. So oftentimes for songwriters, when you play, there's kind of like a chord sequence. Chords that are in the key of, the major scale that you're in. We're doing C major here. And these are chords that sound nice together. So and as a songwriter, you can play different songs and get, write a song this way. You could go C, F major, G, F, back to C, So there's a lot of songs that you can play using this. And all of the notes in the chords that you're playing are in the C major scale. There's no black notes. So that's a good way. You can practice singing each of the notes in the chord. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. So a lot of singing and also maybe learning to understand the instrument is good. The next thing I'm going to be teaching you, maybe in another video, because I don't know how much time is going here, is intervals. So that is something where I will be going over the sounds between going from one note to another note. So if we're at C, 5 notes away from C is G, and that has a recognizable sound that you may have heard in songs like do, do, is like Star Wars. If I go from C to E, which is the 3rd, do, do, it's kind of like oh when the saints come marching in, oh when, going from C to F, which is the 4th, is like Amazing Grace or some other songs that use that. So that's another thing that's good to learn. A lot of people might not even be aware that there is that there's a recognizable sound between going from one note to another note, the distance. C to the next C is like Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Somewhere over the rainbow. So that's another thing I like to teach some new students. So in the next part, I will show you guys that too. Thank you.